And here, with his bird's eye view and a brain to match, is Mr. Know-It-All.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this podcast. I'm Thomas Festa, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, February 26, 2020. Well, Friday's February 6, 2026. Who would have thought? My goodness, Super Bowl weekend. We got a UFO conference coming up against the Super Bowl. Who's going to win? Well, that's honestly, my friend, what my answer. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look and see who the heck we have out there in the chat. The chat is where it's at, my friend. If you haven't joined in, that's your cue. Well, let's say hi to Amanda and Addie W. We got Brown Landcruiser. Along with Bradley, we got Craig Smith, Dennis Benke, along with Doggy Style. Elisa Teals here, along with Evan B. We got Firefly, Geraldine Durazio, Bad Bunny, Grateful Benny. We got JJ, J-Cat Meow. Good to see you, Joey Stoner. Make sure you have enough to pass around. Don't be a Bogart. Got Kathy here, along with Love Our President, Maha Laura, or Ma Laura. We got Megan Betts, Metal Gaming 420, Ms. Cusso. We got Kelly and Kathy and Kelly Burrow with their piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, my friends. Who else do we have out there? We got Patrick, the mysterious, not so mysterious. I know exactly who you are, Patrick. We got Sam and Sandra Jew. We got Scooby Dooby Goobies here. Steve Hines and Stephen Mateo. The Super Unknowns here, along with coming us from northern Idaho, the two midgets on a horse. That's a picture I'd like to see. Maybe. And Weedlanders here, along with When Weebs React. I think they're from Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are. It used to be Weeby Eebies, potentially. Maybe not. I could be wrong. But on that note, let's go ahead and jump into the studio and welcome you. Good evening, everybody. How the heck you doing? Yes, it's been a while since Monday. And actually, there's been a lot of stuff going on this week. More than I ever would have thought there would be. But you know what? It's some interesting things. Top story we're going to be getting into tonight is jumping to the Twitter feed for our dear friend Gene Sticco, who last we heard his wife had been exposed to some nasty stuff. He's put up some tweets, and I have to say, this is sounding more and more like a Gene and his wife, who are blowing the whistle on the Russian UFO program, are getting some retaliation potentially from whichever deep state to shut their mouth, because the things that have been going on with his poor wife and everything are less than normal, to say the absolute truth. If I get into Gene's posts and stuff, I want to bring up his stuff and kind of go through a chronological data of what's going on. We'll hit the first one, second one, and third one, just to make sure everyone is up to date on this one, because it is one hell of a story that I think everyone should be interested in. We've heard about retaliation against whistleblowers. Well, this one is more of an international flair, but I think there's a there. Now, it's not completely 100% on either one side or the other where it's coming from, but the lack of evidence to prove where this thing happened and how it got there is perplexing, to say the least. On that note, let me go ahead and bring up this information. I like this picture about Gene here. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Come on. Perfect. Got that. Okay, let's bring this up and show this of Gene here. Let's now go back to our post we had going on. All right. So this is Gene's first message that he brought out, talking about the scenario that had happened with his wife. So let's get this up and let's get into it. It takes a dark turn, my friends. It really does. Let's bring this up. Let's get to guest full. This will work. This will work for the time being. Shrink this in and make the words a little bit smaller because it's not that big. Personal update. First, I have to thank everyone who reached out with concern over my deactivating my X account on Sunday, January 25th. I never expected it would be widely noticed, nor that in that moment did I expect to be back soon. After we talked about it on the show, certainly everyone noticed it. So I'm glad we were able to get that out there. Miraculously, Nat is safe at home with me again now. She is feeling much better, and we are motivated to continue the work we began last year. The events of that evening were terrifying. She was experiencing altered mental status and severe cognitive impairment. This came out of nowhere, folks. Alongside with a sensation she described as burning from the inside out. We spent 30 hours in the ER. Wow. And it wasn't until she was transferred to a specialized neurological unit they diagnosed toxic encephalopathy with neural inflammation. The root of the cause was identified as a critical accumulation of mycotoxins. While we're aggressively ensuring our home is and remains safe, no unusual environmental factors have been discovered there thus far. Nat has also recalled additional details about the days prior to her hospitalization, which, considering the totality of the circumstances, are of immediate concern and being appropriately followed up on. We've got some evidence he's going to talk about now. This is why we're saying it's like, we have people who have been retaliated on, and it seems like they're sending a message by, hurting Gene's wife, who was involved with this as well. That'll be coming more. Remember, Gene is the author of the book Engineering Infinity, which is basically a logbook that was prepared by Gene's wife, Nat's father from Russia, that detailed many different aspects of a UFO reverse engineering program that came from Russia. So, as things settle, I will continue to pop up online when I have time. I canceled existing invitations for in-person speaking engagements and interviews that require my being away from home and or Nat, which will continue for the foreseeable future. In lieu of public appearances, I'll be working with close friends to not just share but amplify the work we are pursuing and discoveries we are making. Though Nat's full recovery is on top of mind, we share a renewed energy to press on, though I might personally describe it as more of a reckoning. That is a strong way to put it. Jay, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Gene had mentioned this as well, too, days prior to, probably weeks prior to his wife getting sick, that he had found his father-in-law's Russian social media account, and that he had leaked the information because the Russians initially wanted them to research it, and then came back and criminally penalized them for coming out with the work and closed it. So my initial reaction from Gene was he was coming out with it. Somebody found out, and they're retaliating like he said they would against the Russian people, which would be Nat, which would be horrible.
Let's see if I can find a picture here of Gene and his wife.
We know what he discussed. The same exact thing he discussed on there is happening to her, and it's despicable.
I think I had a picture here I just saw of Nat doing a performance when I was scrolling through it here. Gene Sticco, of course. Let's see if I can get past this. Let's just get up to the overall next conversation we're going to jump into.
Yeah, but he talked about this, though, weeks prior. I know he did.
Yes, he did. So the next one that we're going to come up with, his next post was, every normal man must be tempted at times to spit on his hands, hoist a black flag, and begin slitting throats. Ooh. From H.L. Mencken. Followed up by a pirate sign, some are left with no other choice. He's got an idea what's going on here, folks. So let's get into the next one. Russian UFO files update. Just prior to her, meaning Nat's, his wife, medical emergency, Natalia, had made direct contact with one of George Knapp's original Russian sources on Soviet anomalous phenomena research. Being a native Russian speaker has its advantages. Doors that stay closed to Western researchers don't always stay closed to us. The source, Nikolai Kapranov, a Russian physicist who served as a security advisor to the Soviet parliament By Knapp's own account, that's George Knapp, who's talked about the UFO files for some times, folks. By Knapp's own account, Kasparov was his, quote, man in Moscow, the person who arranged Knapp's landmark 1993 trip to interview over a dozen military officials, intelligence operatives, and scientists about secret UFO programs. Knapp and his principals arranged for an office in Moscow and a salary for him, not a casual acquaintance. Well, who would have known that Knapp wasn't just reaching out to people to get help, but he was actually arranged for an office for him to operate of and a salary for him to complete the task. Jay, your thoughts on that?
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to jump in on this, I got to take a minute to think about this one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, Knapp in a recent interview said that they had spent $100,000. So this is back after the Soviet Union fell. That they had spent $100,000 on this project, and so I'd assume part or most of that money went to that gentleman. So I do also find it odd, and the audience should know this, that now Knapp has released more of his files. And I think that has to do directly with Gene's book.
Right. But what's interesting point is Gene has reached out to try and connect with George Knapp, but Knapp will not return any calls.
No, yeah. And that's a shame. Gene's a really good guy, and I know that the whole audience and everybody back here shares the same sentiments that Natalia is on the mend. It gets better, but boy, does this sound like a directed energy weapon to anybody else?
No, this isn't directed energy. We're going to be getting into some more details about what's going on and what Nat had. It sounds like she got exposed to a frickin' toxins.
A biochemical weapon attack. Sorry to cut in, Brian. That's what I did in the Army, was biochemical weapons, nuclear weapons, stuff like that. So she probably got exposed to it in an area like touching her glass, and it was on her glass, and somebody went by, put it on it. She touched her glass, it went through her skin. Something happened that she got exposed to a toxin.
So, and they have the specific ones, but the amount of the toxins or everything are just off the chart. Let's jump into this a bit more because those informations will be coming to us in greater detail. Let's go get to it. So, Natalia's approach was straightforward. She introduced herself, explained she was studying her father's 119-page UFO engineering archive, noted possible connections to the SECA program, and shared a link to the digitized documents. She asked if he could help clarify context. What followed is a textbook study in managed information exchange. First, Kapranov claimed he could barely remember George Knapp, the Western journalist who made him his key facilitator in Moscow, arranged a salary for his office, and relied on him to broker access to some of the most sensitive Soviet military and intelligence figures. He recalls with difficulty that strains credulity, meaning his credibility has been strained by what he's been saying. Second, he asked Natalia to reveal the topic before confirming everything, if this was, quote, about UFOs, end quote. She did identify the UFO UAP connection, the SECA program, and providing the full archive link to him. Third, after nearly 2 weeks with access to the materials, he responded today, not with any engagement with the documents themselves, but with a sweeping categorical statement, which goes, confirming research was conducted at the Academy of Sciences. Every single episode was investigated and, quote, not a single one, end quote, was found to be anomalous. All had confirmed explanations. Case closed. This is demonstrably false. The Soviet program's own documented outputs include a residual category of unexplained cases consistent with very serious governmental study of those phenomena worldwide, and consistent with what the very officials Kasparov himself introduced to NAP reported. A 100% resolution rate is not what the records showed. It's worth noting, Kasparov was a physicist and a parliamentary security officer, not an Academy of Sciences researcher. He's presenting other institutions' conclusions as definitive while speaking from outside of it. Fourth, he closed the door. I'm sorry if I disappointed you, but this is indeed the case. Now, here's the key analytical question. Kasparov is still in Moscow. Distancing himself from this topic is understandable, but if self-preservation was the motive, ignoring an unsolicited email from a stranger was the safest play. No obligation, no exposure, no risk. Instead, he chose to engage across multiple messages over 2 weeks, and he drew out enough information to understand what exactly Natalia had and what she was researching and how far the analysis has progressed. Then he delivered a categorical shutdown and a definitive counter-narrative designed to close inquiry. Now, that's not how someone with a bad memory behaves. That's collection of intelligence, folks, followed by a response. Whether this was self-motivated caution, residual obligation, or something more directed at the patterns, it speaks for itself. Assess the inquiry, understand the scope, deliver the denial. We are not discouraged. We are just getting started. The Cernhalchev, I'm slaughtering the name, sorry, archive stands on its own merits. The documents are public. The correlations with documented U.S. government programs total billions in advanced propulsion, fusion, and MHD research are forensically mapped. No single gatekeeper gets to close the door, and we speak the language. And for the people in the audience would like a link to some of the stuff that's in Gene's piece, I'm going to go ahead and share this in the chat for anyone who wants to go ahead and check out this archive. Jay, your thoughts? It sounds like they found the person in Russia. They reached out to it. He got some questions in them, some answers. Then it was deny. Doesn't sound exactly right. What do you think, Brian? Anybody? Ed, go ahead.
Well, something that confuses me, if we can just back up a little bit, is why after that injury, that were 30 hours in the emergency room, would they go as public as they're going now when they really don't know where the source of that threat came from?
It's harder to hide things that are out of the shadows. If you take everything and you open your book and you show your playbook to everybody and talk about what's going on, we got to get to that part. Yeah, we haven't talked about what's really going on with her and what they found so far. Sometimes the best way to get rid of the deep state is to shine light on it. It makes it harder for them to go ahead and take somebody out.
I think it's kind of risky what he's doing. I mean, for his own personal safety.
Well, already he's at risk. This shit already went on. Wait till I get to the details on this stuff. It's pretty killer, literally, almost.
If I could jump in there real quick, Ed, I think that what you remind me of is Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar goes public with this story because he was worried about being killed. So if the story just remains, if what he's feeling doesn't come out in some sort of flavor and something happens to him or Natalia or both, then there's no record. So I just think maybe that could be it, that he's putting the record out there.
Well, I can see that, and I think the Bob Lazar example is a good one to bring up. A case where what
the hell happened to my chat?
You lay it all out, then no one can accuse you of holding the secret. Then it's your insurance policy if anything happens to you.
Oh, the back chat has been fucked up. Okay. Okay, sorry if people have been saying things in the chat and I haven't seen it. Okay, it's back. I fucked it up. Syrup, go ahead.
Okay, so this guy, instead of just ignoring this whole issue, what's his name? Karpinov or whatever?
Let's find it
He
here.
could have just ignored Gene altogether, right?
Kapranov.
But this guy was Knapp's go-to guy, right?
Right. This is the guy that Knapp got was used to hook up all the information.
So Knapp was basically relying on a gatekeeper for this information, right?
Yeah. It sounds like you paid him $100,000. You got to ask the question: where in the hell did Knapp get $100,000 to pay this guy?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems fishy. Like, was Knapp just being fed the information that's okay to be released, or what?
Or, as Mike would maybe bring up the question, does he have a tie back to the military industrial complex for some reason to give him that money to get the information that they want to find out? Why did Knapp sit on this information for almost 20 fucking years before he actually brought it out?
And why did this guy say he couldn't remember Knapp? Barely
right. Oh, he can't remember Knapp. It was just, yeah, exactly. This is fishy, man.
I think a big question to ask too is why most of us know Knapp from his journalistic experience, starting with Bob Lazar for 30 years or whatever. I don't understand why Knapp would not be in touch with Gene. That doesn't make sense either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering that same thing as well.
I could have swore he said that he had some contact recently with Knapp. I don't know what the extent of it was, though.
Who, Gene?
Yes.
No, Gene has tried to go ahead and reach out to Knapp. However, his calls have not been returned.
Yeah, I thought he had something the last time he was on the show to say about that, but I could be
No, he's still trying to get a hold of Knapp, and he can't. That's part of the problem. Now, if I go back from that one, all right. Here's the latest personal update. This one came from today. This shows the severity, and it also shows there's something that's not adding up. It's like we're trying to make $1 out of 3/4. It's not adding up. Personal note, I wanted to share the latest development on Nat's health, or Natalia's. Some serious questions it's raising. Environmental toxic screening revealed multiple and exceptionally high toxicity mold species in her system and in her home. Aspergillus niger, several penicillium varieties, and what appears to be Aspergillus terris. Each one produces myotoxins that can cause exactly what she experienced. As it was explained to us, while quote-unquote quote natural unquote is statistically weird, almost I would say impossible, 6 distinct species found growing together on the first single test plate. In January, in Boston, most indoor air winter shows maybe 1 to 3 species at most, and rarely this diversity of toxin producers developing this rapidly. And that, quote, the contamination source was producing spores at industrial levels and wasn't normal household contamination. And here's the other thing. There's 2 other people that live in this house, and guess what? Neither of them have any sign of any exposure to this stuff so far. Brian.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In order to get, I haven't seen the levels, but in order to get that amount of aspergillus, which is a certain type of mold, and with what Gene's saying, she's got 6 different types. You either have to have a real heavy dose of it. I mean, literally inhaling it. Or it's very rare for that to be a quick onset. Usually it would take some time and exposure. And yes, if other people have been living in the area or in that house or wherever, then their levels would build up too. Now, everybody processes mold differently, but to have high levels of 6 different types is extremely rare.
Someone in the chat was just saying it was planted to go ahead and affect Nat. Well, the thing is, it may have not been there affected to hit Nat. It was in the house to try and affect someone. If you remember, Gene is disabled, and he has probably a lower energy system. It could have been going after him, but either way, they got to his wife. Let's read on this a bit more. We're now into the second set of tests after remediation, and those appear to be clear so far. So looking good. We try not to jump to any conclusions, but keep coming back to the additional details. Nat's remembered about the days before the hospitalization. And given our work on her dad's manuscripts, my travel to D.C. earlier this week, and planned travel and interviews I had to cancel that was going down to see the Wi-Fi and be on the Wi-Files, the timing feels less than coincidental. We're taking every precaution with ongoing medical grade air filtration and monitoring. The immediate professional remediation has made the house safer for her recovery, and we're confident the measures implemented. Now that the initial emergency and shock has passed and made us more determined. If this was environmental bad luck, so be it. We'll deal with it and move forward. If it was something else, we never be able to prove it anyway. Either way, we're taking every precaution going forward, and the research continues with more urgency than before. What does it sound like to you, Brian, that Gene is saying here?
Yeah, I think it's very rare. And I do home inspections for a living. 1% of the population cannot process mold. And so those people are allergic to it. And I don't know if Natal just part of that.
Yeah, but she has her and her sister there, so you got a genetic line, 2 people from it in the house.
That's right. And so for her to come down with a sudden onset of multiple types of mold is pretty darn rare. So I'm kind of in Gene's camp here that something is not right in Denmark here. It normally would build up over time, and then you would get sick, and the fact that nobody else is sick, I'm just leaning toward this as an oddity here. I can give Gene some ideas if he thinks it's in his house, but I don't think it is. I think it's when they're dealing with the technology. And look, I'm not blaming the Russians here, but you start dealing with these people, who knows what's going to happen. And I think it's a damn shame that this happened to her. But somebody is at fault here. And if I'm a betting man, 95%, it's not his house.
But you know what's the old saying, Brian? But wait, there's more. And there's more.
That's right. I think something was done to her. Yep.
Let's get to it. This is from before the last 2 tweets we heard. This is one that I should have covered earlier, but let's get into it. I was trying to review video from the evening of Nat's medical emergency and discovered the system was down and didn't record anything during a 72-hour window on both sides of it. Then it worked all week and was offline again yesterday. When I went out, our rarely used front door, found the IR night vision sensor damaged, and seems moisture got inside and caused the unit to fail. But look at that, Brian. There's his Ring doorbell, and you can see the front of the doorbell has been smashed in. That just doesn't happen on accident.
No.
Bingo. And the data being deleted just doesn't happen on accident. There's something fishy here, and it's not coming between from someone's legs either.
Yeah, Thomas, my question would be, if you're going to delete Ring doorbell data, what would that take? I'm not a tech expert, but I mean, you have to hack in the Ring somehow, or be a law enforcement or a government entity. Am I wrong?
Right. And the audience is saying mold damage, LOL. Mold didn't cause that. No, that is actually someone breaking the front of that particular Ring doorbell. And Gene is not the kind of guy who's going to go out there and doing it. This is just very troubling to show that, yes, whistleblowers are being retaliated on. And here we've got one, and we're covering it as it happens. And we have a whistleblower who's fighting back, not just going ahead and keeping it quiet. He's going out and broadcasting it to the world because he's shining a light on this to try and make people understand what's going on, to hopefully protect his family going forward. Does that approach make sense to you, Brian?
Yeah. And I would actually encourage anybody, we all want to send our prayers and well wishes, but if you've got a Twitter account or something, and I'll go ahead and do this too. And I've posted a couple times, but let's just go ahead and repost it. Let's make let's make Gene's story more public, because I think,
because this isn't being covered by anybody else out there. We've got us. We've got Tyler over at Ty over at Total Disclosure Podcast, but no one else is saying anything about it. This is an important story. That's why it's the number one thing we're talking about today.
and I think as we make it more public, that helps protect Gene and Natalia. So I would encourage anybody in the audience to just go ahead and repost this, Thomas. If you can put it on your X or Twitter or, like Facebook, whatever, let's just go ahead and repost it.
All right, here is the post and the link. I'm putting that in the chat now for this last post I have up. There we go. It's in the chat for everybody. Apparently, I'm a administrator on this account, so I can actually post links. Unfortunately, the normal chat can, but I did. So let's get into this a bit more. Days before the incident, Natalia also said she noticed a man in an SUV wearing a black baseball cap in a car. No. In an SUV wearing a black baseball cap. And when he saw her, left. Also yesterday afternoon, as we arrived home, another man was close to our home along a walking path, operating a drone that was flying along our dead-end street, which he also quickly moved as we sat in the car and watched him. Again, not trying to be paranoid, but there's not usually many unfamiliar people about on our dead-end street, nor people enjoying the walking path in less than 25-degree weather. So I'll just file these as curious receipts for the time being. Wow. That is interesting to say the least, folks. We wish Gene and his wife Natalia the best, and more importantly, can't wait to see what they figure out and try and bring forward with regards to this. Any other comments from our friends in the back? Syrup, go ahead.
Or
Daryl, go.
Sir. Go ahead.
No, did you? I was reading through his tweets, man. I didn't know he was back up and active. But did you also mention that his house was inspected and they found nothing? Like,
yeah,
they
didn't find the 6 strains.
They didn't find anything. They checked everything: the floorboards, the basement, HVAC, nothing.
The attic, everything.
What's up with that? I don't know, man. It sounds
well.
fishy.
Someone has 6 different, not even strains. It's 6 different, completely different types of mold in her system. No one else in the house has it. They haven't been able to find it in the house or in their vehicles or anything.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Some ain't adding.
I smell something stinky.
Well, he obviously does too, because he's telling everybody that sometimes you have to get out the blades and start slitting throats. So I'm pretty sure he has a good idea a good thought process here as to what's going on in his life.
One would hope so. Well, I hope so, Daryl. But you know what? Our thoughts and wishes go out to Gene. I've seen him starting to pop up in a couple spaces out there. And when he's out there, man, he's going through a lot. And all we can do is send our hopes and prayers and love and light to him, and hopefully help him get through this and make it to the other side without, make it to the other side. That's the most important thing.
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we'll be back here soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if I take a look at stream settings, all right, what else do we have on our catalog for tonight we're going to talk about? Let's make it easy. I'll just hit the edit button. It'll tell me. Oh, don't get there. Come on.
Can I ask you real quick? Do you think George Knapp's a gatekeeper or what?
Where did he didn't get the $100,000 from KLAS 8 in Nevada, the local CBS station. He didn't get it from that. So Daryl, how would you have a poll for this one? We're getting asked for a poll by Evan B.
On what's the meat of the poll? I must.
Well, we're talking about Gene. What, I guess we could go ahead and say, all right, let's start a poll. It could be something about what happened to Gene's Nat Natalia, just mold, or we're going to say something nefarious. Sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound great, but I mean, it's in the situation.
It's a poll. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's see where audience is going to take us on this one. Let me go ahead and get the upgraded sound effects package up and going and see where it goes. All right, audience, this is your chance to go ahead and tell us what you think. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
1 minute and 30 seconds. And we're starting now.
Sorry, you've got it by your house, too. You know I always do that.
See what he does to me, Ferrari?
He doesn't care. He just wants more. He just wants more rubs.
He's like, more of that liver shit.
He's pawing at you. You stopped rubbing me. Come on, give him the pets. He wants it. There you go, Ferrari. Yeah, that's what he wants. All right, audience, you've got it, friends. Let's see where we're going to go ahead and take this. So far, 80% of our audience has said something nefarious, which is 48 votes in. Can we get this up to 90 votes? Come on, people. If you're watching, it may be hard if you're watching a television. If it is, let me know. But you know what? Well, there's not a palm print on the camera. That's just the plastic that's there. And if someone's going to smash it, yeah, potentially, you never know. They could go ahead and hit that for fingerprints. Good point. Or palm prints for that matter. Our audiences, I'd say they're pretty much pegged on this one so far. With 35 seconds left, we have 59 votes in. We're at an 80-20 vote. This almost sounds like the vote we had last time, Daryl, about whether or not Trump's bringing his disclosure.
It's like every vote we have is like 80-20.
No, not always, but Brian, go ahead.
It's always like 76, 24.
Yeah, but I always take a screenshot for posterity, and we can always go back to him at least. Not that I ever do, but...
Oh, you don't like that, 6 or 7? You don't...
Does he have to go for a walk?
No, don't say that.
Ferrari walk? My dogs don't pay attention when other people go ahead and say it, Brian.
Right. He isn't saying anything.
Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I went with something nefarious here. Really, the kicker for me was when Natalia said that she felt something like her head was getting warm.
Yes.
That sounded very odd to me.
That seems like a sudden exposure to this stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. So that's why I initially said directed energy weapon. Are they using something that we don't even know about?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% something nefarious.
Yeah, it's like my mom back in the day. She got exposed to a one of those puff mushrooms. You hit it and they explode with like a bunch of spores. She was doing work on her by their new house doing gardening. If they exploded on her face, she ended up getting a condition called the BOOP, which is a bronchial organized obliterating pathogen, BOOP, which basically caused this mold or the fungus, which is kind of like what you're getting from mold, is a fungus into her lungs, and it started to take and transform parts of her lungs to go ahead and actually, grow shrooms in her chest. So she ended up, dealing with that, getting past it. But there are a bunch of things that are out there. But you have to be exposed to something a relatively large dose to make it happen. And here we've got Nat, who got 6 different types at the same time in a dose.
Yep, 100%. That's why I just don't think it's legit. I think it's unnefarious. I don't know where we're at in the poll, but the majority of the audience does too.
Exactly. So on that note, let's go ahead and shut down this chat. Let me take a screenshot for it in posterity first. Yes, we're at 67 votes, which is better than none. What our audience is saying is 81% of our audience has spoken.
You saw it's at 6-7 votes, right?
67 votes. I didn't say 6 or 7 votes. No.
6-7.
No, I didn't. But either way, there we go. 81% of our audience is saying something nefarious, and that's where I have to go ahead and say yes, something nefarious. Thank you, Ian Gimbals, or Lonnie Gimbals. There we go. Appreciate it. Gem balls. I'm bad with names, and my eyes are, well, I'm looking at a screen that's about 15 feet away, 20 feet away, and it's like 120 inches. So Text is a little small. I guess I make it bigger, but appreciate everybody. So on our next story we're getting into. Yes, there's been another Tic-Tac video that's been released, and this one is coming to us granted, it's from 2021, and it's about 5 years old at this point, but guess what? It's never been released. What we have here is a short clip coming to us from Weaponized, going ahead and covering the Syria UAP from 2021. We've got some, if you want to call it, conversation coming from George Knapp and Merrick Von Rennenkampff, as well as Jeremy Corbel talking about this UAP. So let's go ahead and move myself around, and let's go ahead and bring up this video and where is this? God damn it. Play it, and let's get to it, folks. I think this is an interesting one. It'll give us a lot for conversation once it's done. Here we go.
The following UAP video has no audio. We recommend our audio listeners to watch the full video version of this episode.
So here we've got a UAP going ahead, flying along, kind of looks like a Tic-Tac. We've got all the sensors you'd expect going ahead and telling us its location, in GPS, its speed, and everything else. Let's go ahead and play this, getting into it. They're zooming in, coming from their FLIR. And I believe this is coming from one of our drones that we have up. Granted, we've heard about Reaper drones for the longest time that are actually going ahead and observing UAP. There'll be some vocalization or descriptions coming in a second coming from that. It's moving back and forth. They're trying to go ahead and bring it into it, and they're having a hard time going ahead tracking the particular object. And right as it ended before, what I want to get to when it was on the screen, we're going to go ahead frame by frame. Here's the kicker. Let me zoom this in, folks. The object is there, moving along. And then it gets to a point when they're tracking it. Check this out right here. We're getting duplication going on. More. Now it's starting to move. We got this object here and this one over here. Almost like it's between two frames. It's jumping again, going across, showing across two frames. And this is probably at 30 frames a second. So we're seeing it go from here, go from here. This is very similar to what we've seen before. As it goes across a bit more, and it goes across a bit more, goes across, and then they lose it. There it goes again. Actually, that's not the one where it goes. Here's another one where it comes around and they're watching it again. It goes to take off. We're getting that duplication effect going on again, jumping across. And interesting thing to note about this is look at the background of the camera. The background of what they're looking at is completely stationary, right? Then as they start going across, it starts getting into a duplicated piece again, and it's completely gone. Boom, it's out of sight. Andy, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I saw them when they released it in the week. Really interesting. For me, this is better than the Go Fast. I think it was a Go Fast that was filmed over the sea. This was actually filmed over land, and you got a better contrast at the back. I think contrast is the right word. It's you're not seeing it against the background of the sea with only white caps breaking on the sea. This is the object is moving. The scenery behind it isn't.
Right. Here you can see the scenery moving behind it at this point.
That's moving because the camera's moving. Yeah, so the camera's following this object, whereas I think on the Go Fast one, the camera is basically stationary on the hull, watching this thing from what I think is quite a bit further distance. So you're seeing the white caps here. This is got the camera is actually tracking but you can tell it's a camera tracking and not the background. The background is just a varies. It stops tracking. Right. The camera is stopped, or ever so slightly in motion, but you can see that the landscape behind is still. And then what really struck me was the speed this thing took off at.
Right. Now, granted, the video is very grainy because we're looking at something coming from FLIR. We're getting, if you want to call it, the surrounding clouds and things in the atmosphere going around with it and stuff. So we're not going to get a really clear, high resolution picture because it's also relatively low resolution. Ed, what do you think?
Well, a couple of things jump out for me. First, Andy, those aren't whitecaps; they're over land. That particular film was done
over Syria.
Syria and Jordan.
There we go.
Yeah, I understand on this one. I'm saying in relationship to the Go Faster, this is a better, to my mind, a better image because this is over land, whereas the Go Fast was over sea.
I was just trying to point out that what looks like maybe water is just sand in front of them because it's in a rural area. The other thing, I watched the whole film today, or the whole weaponized.
You guys take it for a second. I'll be right back. Continue your conversation.
Sure. And what I got out of it was the big thing was that acceleration. And no one put a number to it, but it's one of those that, you just kind of grab a number like, 30,000 Gs or whatever to accelerate instantly to that speed. They have to capture it, as you saw, with the single frame at a time, because if you look at it in real time, you don't even see the movement at all. The eye can't keep up with that. Also, the thing they pointed out when they zoomed in on it, that it has a most interesting shape, like a mushroom, like it had something sticking down below it, with kind of a dome over top of it. And again, no obvious signs of wings or any kind of control surfaces, no propulsion, heat signatures or anything. So it was a very, very good UFO, which I guess brings me to the question, how many thousands of these do we have to show people to where they say, yeah, maybe we're not alone in the universe? It strikes me as strange that someone could deny all the evidence that's now showing up with today's technology and photography. So, well, I'm out of things to say. If Thomas isn't back, Andy, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, and I want to say to anybody who hasn't actually watched the Knapp and Corbel, they had Merrick Von Rennenkampff, who's a former, I think he was a CIA analyst, if I can say the word, and he explained what some of the letters and the information on the screen was, and everybody will see up in the top left-hand corner, it says 4X, which is what the zoom was on the camera, but underneath it says it's got the three letters BLK. Now he explained that it was showing that this camera would show items that were hot as black.
So actually, Andy, it can also reverse that, and also they can bring up the light level on it. It has quite a bit of capability, so it's not strictly just a black on white type of display.
Yeah. So what I'm saying of this object, where it's showing up as white, now they may have messed with the contrast and one thing or another, but potentially this is showing the object as actually being cold, which is, Thomas, you're back now. You've mentioned this many a time on this show about, the negative 60.
Right. So we have craft that are up there that are operating at negative 60 degrees Celsius, I believe, that you need to have special cameras that are used for detecting natural gas leaks to actually let you see craft and these craft will be following right behind jetliners that are approaching Seattle Tacoma Airport. So what we're dealing with here is something cold. And what's interesting is you're not seeing any kind of trailing. You're not seeing any kind of additional heat of a signature that's coming out of the craft itself that's showing its propulsion source.
Well, the other thing too, Thomas, is they indicated that once they get it locked on, in fact, I think I even heard you say this earlier, that it doesn't stay locked on because it moves out of position faster than the tracker can keep onto it.
Yeah.
In other words, it breaks the lock. It intentionally breaks the lock whenever it's captured for tracking.
Yeah, potentially if it moves that fast, it can break the lock. That's an honest to God truth. What the fucking automation did I just make here?
Just FYI, that 4X, that's a digital zoom. That's 4X digital, not optical zoom. So I kind of thought that was interesting that as far as they could zoom in was 4x, I think, digitally. Anyway.
Well, it's old technology. The Reaper drones have been around for about 20 years, Daryl.
Oh, you gotta change those things out every once in a while. They got to stop taking Polaroids at some point.
Yes. All right, so let's go ahead. Now, here's the thing. We're going to watch it again, and we're going to see this thing go ahead and just bug the hell out. It's right here. As soon as it starts to fade out, look at this. It's already showing up right here. So that's 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frames. This thing is jumping from place. Here it is. It's at this location. Now it's jumping to here. And now it's jumped to there. It's accelerating. Now it's jumped to here. Now it's jumped to here. And now it's going out of frame. So we've got something that's relatively clear. All of a sudden, it's moving so fast, it's moving beyond the frame rate capabilities of the camera, Daryl. And that's what we're kind of seeing. It's trying to record it, but it's moving so fast, the sensor isn't getting enough infrared light to come in to be able to properly render it.
Right. And yeah, they need to upgrade that technology. That drone needs to get updated.
Oh my God, you see the technology that the states have going ahead and from the police up in helicopters, and it's like night and day compared to this stuff. But then again, we are talking about the federal government here, and we're talking about older technologies that they keep on pushing because, well...
Well, it also looking like the numbers and letters in the upper right also below the compass, for what lack of the actual term, those numbers are all kind of faded out, and
it's degraded.
It's almost like this thing is degraded on purpose.
Down-resed?
I wonder.
You know, and the thing is, as we're watching, let me just go through it back and forth here. There's a little bit of creep of the sensors. Where your head is. Let me move that out of the way. Right here. There's a little bit of a creep of all the sensors on the screen as things are moving along, which could mean that it's being recorded from another source, meaning you'd have to have an iPhone on a tripod recording something on another screen, but they've got everything perfectly censored. But if you look at the bottom of it here as well, part of the screen is cropped on both sides. This one over here, and then on the other side, it's also there. Let me go ahead and shut that down so you can see it.
So yeah, somebody's probably, like you said, recording this off. That would make sense.
So we've got a recording of a recording.
Yeah. It would make sense that maybe part of the screen is washed out due to light, ambient light in the room. That makes sense.
Yep.
Well, not only recording of a recording, but one of obsolete technology, or at least one that's quite a few years old.
Yeah. Did you discuss how they came by this? I can't remember.
So here we have it here when it's smaller in ultra wide. Thank you, chat, for pointing this out. ULTN, as they're calling it. But then you go a little bit farther, and then when it gets bigger, they go to 4X. For 1 frame, it goes to 2X, and then it goes to 4X. So we've got the one here at 50% speed, and then we've got our 25% speed going again. But we've already played back and forth in the frames. You can just see how this thing is moving around. They're trying to go ahead and track it, see where it is, and then the thing just bugs the hell out of there. And here's the one, I believe, at 5% speed.
The first time we saw it, it was tracking due north and not maneuvering until our drone tried to capture it. And then it started evasive maneuvers, it looked like.
Right.
It obviously was trying to get the drone to maneuver one way or the other.
So this next one, we have it. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
I don't know whether that was a defensive move, like we're trained not to let people lock onto us with radar, or was he trying to lead them, getting in front of the other aircraft and then turning right, like follow me. Could be.
Was there something else around that craft that it was trying to distract from?
Well, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
or was it trying to hide something that it didn't want us to see? I'm just throwing out possibilities.
Yeah. That's right, Scooby Dooby Gooby. It's most likely a video of a video. Let's go ahead and get into this, and let's play this now. We're going to be looking at the apparent instantaneous acceleration, which is different from the video we have of going out of Malta, where we've got a craft that's actually going ahead and maintaining a consistent speed of 14,000 miles per hour, which is still faster than anything we have on Earth that can go and deal with it. This one is bugging around and decides, I need to get the fuck out of here. So let's take a look. So we have next one is where we have apparent instantaneous acceleration, black and white values inverted, pictured zoom, clip excerpt at 5% speed. So they've really slowed this the fuck down. Well, Ed, does that shape remind you of anything?
That particular frame almost looks like it's got quadcopter blades on it.
No, this is the UI from the plane itself.
But one place where I mentioned this a minute ago, one place where they did talk about the shape was on a much clearer image.
Right, but if you look at the overall shape of this, it looks eerily similar to the Go Fast. Remember?
Sure do.
The one where they said, oh my God, there's a fleet of them and they're showing the craft slowly rotating?
Yeah, but it seems more round to me, doesn't it to you?
Well, all right.
Yeah, the gimbal, Thomas. It looks
the gimbal,
like
yes, the gimbal. Let me get into, all right. Where's my application? Shit.
It looks
like a mushroom.
No, it should be here somewhere.
Or something. That's what it looks like to me.
Here, I'll show you. File. I don't want the new version. No. Remind me later. I don't want a new one. New. Bring this in. Let's bring this around. We've got a document that's here. I want to paste this in. I'm going to go to vector. I'm going to go ahead and go around this shape.
See the mushroom?
Yeah, it's like a mushroom, but it almost looks like the gimbal.
It's more pronounced, the shape, at least in a few of those frames, it does look like a mushroom. It also looks like the cap is cut from the bottom, like there's a gap. Like when the first opening, you first played this last sequence, there's a moment through it.
Like right there.
And maybe even a little bit before, yeah, you can see right there that you're looking at something through it or something. And that reminds me of like the everybody's naming what these things reminds them of, but the witch, not the witch, but the not Agua.
She's a witch.
The what's the one, the rubber duck video, because in that you could see there was something else that was kind of rotating around it. Now I'm not saying this is rotating around it, but it doesn't look attached, at least not in some of these frames.
Did you see something that looked like that when you were walking your dog?
Me?
Yeah, when you were walking your dog.
Are you joking, or you think I actually said that?
No, he's trying to get you to say walking your dog.
Why?
Doggy poop.
Oh,
So in this particular one, if we look at it, we've got one that's showing that kind of a shape, and that's what you're showing there. It's looking like two separate objects, but in the next one we've got, it looks like it's joined. Yeah, now that could either be something that's going on with and showing there's a difference in variance going in here of temperature. Let's go into this one, move it around. You can see it's pretty much solid on the colors there. So although we've got the line there, it kind of gets it. But the interesting part is, you know how they always talk about saucers, and that when saucers are flying around, they're not just flat. They're always on an angle and traveling on an angle, potentially.
Or at some point they turn on an angle and then they shoot off.
Right.
You hear that a lot.
Exactly. So let's play this here. We're seeing it going along, an inverted video as it's there, still on an angle. And now it's moving off.
You can see there's something. Oh, maybe it was the crosshair. That's what it was.
Yes, the crosshairs. Now, when the object moves off of where it's at, now we're just getting more of that rounded shape. So the next one is white edge threshold enhancement in an attempt to highlight UAP shape. Click excerpt at 100% speed. Now here's the thing. Oh shit. OBS crashed. Hold on. Sorry, audience. Force quit. Come on. OBS running? No, OBS is not running. It crashed. That's why. Very.
We don't see you in the back.
I know you will in a second. Start virtual camera. Okay, audience. Are we back? Yes, we froze. I locked up. Yeah. That's what I get. Okay, we upgraded the operating system. Big mistake. I upgraded the version of OBS. Bigger mistake. Sorry, folks. So where the fuck were we? Okay, talking about the Syria UAP white edge threshold enhancement in an attempt to highlight UAP shape. Click excerpt at 100% speed. At least we're crashing a lot less than we used to, like before I got my Mac. So let's get into this. Here we go. So here they've got it. Oh, you'll like this one, Daryl.
All right.
They're actually showing the shape of the craft in a bit more
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
All right. So now we've got Merrick Von Rennenkampff talking about this. Let's hear what he has to say about this. You know what? Have you been watching this stuff on X, Daryl, at all? Merrick Von Rennenkampff has been going up against Mick West.
I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I watched this interview with him, and he mentions it briefly.
All right, here we go. Let's play this little clip. Here we go.
We do see the operator. You can see he's in the on the top left. He's in the narrow field of view. He can zoom in further, and the operator will. We're in black hot. This object appears to be moving left. That is almost certainly parallax. So if you can see at the top, the plane is flying east. Something is moving perpendicularly to it, so that's almost certainly parallax. Operator tries to lock it up here, and you can see that the operator is attempting to do it manually, not working. Then we had that break, and now this is the second part of the clip. And at that box, you'll see that's the operator trying to get a lock, and here we have a successful lock on this object. And then the operator will do a digital zoom. He's currently in ultra narrow field of view, which is about as zoomed in as you can get without going into the digital zoom. And he zoomed in, and this is as far as you can get. And here we see this odd mushroom shape. Let's call it a mushroom. No lenticular, right? There's no wings, no exhaust plume. He's still locked on. And here it breaks the lock, so it appears, and then it just zips off.
Boom, it's gone.
That is quite extraordinary on its face. So let's slow it down here. I think we're going to go down to 50% speed. And again, we have basically two movements. That initial, it kind of zips off to the left, the direction change, and then it shoots off.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wow is that's all I've been able to say for the last few days.
So it's clearly going away in this first part, but then you think that to the right is an actual movement of the object.
I do, and I think that this, as you get down to 25%, 5% speed, it becomes quite apparent. And I'll run through a couple hypotheses for what
You can look at it at a particular speed, Daryl. But when it comes down to it, is when it gets to a point, you have to stop the camera and advance through it frame by frame to understand what's going on. You can look at it at different speeds, but when you see something that's wrong, you stop it and you start advancing frame by frame. At least that's the technique that I take when I'm trying to go ahead and figure out what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you mentioned Mick. Has Mick West said anything about this video yet?
Yes, he has, and it's been a bunch of back and forth between Merrick Von Rennenkampff and Mick West. But the thing is, Mick is already, you got to remember, Mick West apparently is a paid shill coming out of Aros, so what do you expect?
Right. Yeah,
and what was Mick West exactly? Mick West was a video game programmer, most notably known for his Tony Hawk franchise that came out. And his claim to fame was creating a system that made it feel like you were actually skateboarding when you're not. Meaning he knows how to fool the audience into feeling like something that's real when it's actually completely fake. And that's a talent. He's a shyster. Right up there with P.T. Barnum and everybody else. You think you're getting one thing, but in reality, it's actually something else.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious what he's going to name this one. Shopping bag, seagull.
Balloons.
Yeah.
Party balloons, party city, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. So there we go on this particular story coming out of it. And I know we've got a bunch of other stuff that's coming up in UFO land to go ahead and cover. I got a bunch of stories to take up the rest of the show. Happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully you've had a good time on this particular Friday. Let me get back to my bookmarks and let's get into it. All right. So,
can you?
All right. Sure, is how John Majowski calls it. Lara Trump believes President Trump is preparing to disclose extraterrestrials. While she's a Trump, we don't know how real these things are, but you know what? We're going to cover this anyway because last time, Daryl, when we asked the audience, what do you think about Trump bringing out disclosure? We had 20% saying yes and 80% saying no fucking way.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, there's something weird going on with our audience.
I just hope she hasn't gotten too close to Stephen Greer. That's all I could say. And she goes on to talk about the shift. If you look at some of the prophets, oh, fucking Christ, we're done already. Sometimes soon we're supposed to have an interaction with another form of life from outside our planet. So let's get into Lara Trump talking about this. She seems so happy.
About UFOs, can you share? I hear that the president has something in the queue to share with us about all of this. Now, truth be told, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. It may have been right after he left office, after the first term. I remember Eric being like, all right, what can you tell us? And he was a little hesitant to give us any real info, which makes me think like he's got a lot of info out there.
A lot of info, or then again, it's Eric Trump, so.
Well, Eric, I don't know anything about Eric being close to Lou.
He's the one who's not so smart.
Yeah, but isn't Don Jr. kind of like Lou? And
he was into it as well. He brought Lou on his channel, talked about it. He even gave a leak saying that when there was a fight that was going on, that Trump was going to make some kind of announcement before the fight, although it never happened. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember the fight part. I just know that wouldn't surprise me that they all seem to be interested in the topic and the phenomenon. So
yeah,
that's a good thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's just hard to sometimes listen to some people explain these things. But go ahead.
It's like listening to Airplane Luna too much, right, Mike? Oh, God, yeah. Closer than you realize, folks. Closer than you realize. Let's move on. Bite your tongue, my friend.
And he's waiting for the right time to drop it. And maybe this is going to be the time, because I keep seeing all these stories about how he's got some like UFO speech that he's got queued up, and you know, we all should just kind of sit back and wait. Now, here's the thing I'll say. What do I know about UFOs? What I know is that our universe is so enormous. It actually, if I start thinking about it, it makes me a little crazy. You think about just our solar system, okay? And then you think about how many solar systems like ours are in our galaxy. And then you think about how many...
Oh my God, her head is exploding now, Daryl.
I mean, past the duchy. I mean, she's so happy. Maybe it's a glass of wine. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a bottle of wine.
It almost sounds as much. Well, and we'll get to that later, but yeah. Let's move on.
Many galaxies are in this universe. The whole thing is just, it's kind of like mind-boggling. So the idea that the only form of intelligent life out there is us.
You know, Daryl, she just called herself a form of intelligent life. I have to disagree with that.
Well, I don't know if I disagree with it. I just think she's having a very, I mean, the expressions are that you keep stopping on. I'm just like, dude, how did you?
At least her mouth isn't like.
Did you just have a gummy by chance?
No gummies, no nothing. Brian Pemble, you have your hand up, my friend.
Like Thomas, I had a little bit of Botox, and think that something's coming out. No,
I get it. I'll admit, I'll get a little bit in here every 6 months or so to go ahead and tame things down.
And it's completely fine.
And it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, I shouldn't be so negative here, but perhaps we should look at the signal through the noise here, I guess.
I know we are, but we're just having fun.
I know we got to have fun. I am too.
We are serious about not being serious on Disclosure today, but we get shit for it because we're not serious and we crack jokes. I guess we need to be more like Greg Gutfeld and just be really obvious about it.
I'm just hearing that he's got a written. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, but this is going to appeal to a certain audience, and so this is actually good. So we shouldn't be so negative on this.
We're not negative. We're just having fun with it.
Yeah. It's being serious about not being serious.
And so am I. I am complicit in this, but there's going to be a certain percentage of the audience that is going to listen to her, and I think this is going to be great. And
that's good.
She married correct, 100%. So anybody that's on board for Disclosure, I think we should be on board with, and I should probably stop.
Stephen Greer wants Disclosure.
Yeah.
Kick-ass Porty, shame on you.
All right.
Hey,
Daryl, I'm bald, and I could probably use some Botox or hair implants. So
but there's really good wigs out. There's really good toupees you can get out there, Brian, and it's worth it.
Hey, you know what? The only way she can make this interview better if she did it standing up, because, yeah.
Let's move on. Here we go. Let's play the rest of this. Here we go, folks.
That we're like twerking on TikTok and stuff. That's it. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. I fully believe that there's other life out there throughout the universe. And if you look at some of the like prophets, these are people hundreds of years ago, or I don't even know how long.
Like Chris Bledsoe? He's a modern day prophet. He's giving us prophecies, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody deserves at least one prophecy in their life. So.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Laura.
A lot of them say that sometime soon we're supposed to have some sort of an interaction with another form of life from outside of our planet. So, I don't know. I fully believe there's more out there. I think it would be a heck of a waste of space if it's just us here and we're doing like dumb challenges and again like just twerking on TikTok.
Oh, just come on, go ahead and bring it up and say it would be such a way for the president to make a speech that's never been said before, to go ahead and break the mold and bring forward information that no other world leader has done to date. That sounds like something Trump would do, right, Daryl?
At the end of his
and he'd be so brave to bring that information forward.
Yeah, at the end of his presidency is when I can see him saying, hey, by the way, I'm done and nobody's in control.
But the Epstein things are going really well right now, so maybe he may do it sooner than later. You never know.
What about the July 8th date that people are passing around after he gets past the 250th anniversary celebration to announce it on the 8th of July? Have you heard that?
Yes, we have. We actually covered that a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's what she's talking about as a definitive date.
Well, that's what she was kind of pointing towards. A lot of people are talking about him bringing out the truth right lately.
You talk about a lot of things when you're high. I'm just saying as an anecdote.
But she could go ahead and reach out to her father-in-law, right? And say, hey, Don, fill me in.
Oh, I don't know if that's the proper choice of words, Combs, but
oh my God, you pervert!
We are talking about, I don't know.
Oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell.
She could ask for her brother-in-law. Being friends with Lou. I mean, there does seem to be an inside track. I mean, JD Vance is into this topic, so maybe JD will be the first president to.
Hell, you never know if the Democrats get back in power. He could be our next president sooner than later.
That seems to be the pendulum of how politics swing lately.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not swingers, that kind, my friend. But you know what?
Oh my God.
Oh, it was hilarious. I had the neighbors before, Jerry and his wife, who he divorced, and she was over here with him, and she was lit up. She's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I've got this newsletter I'm part of. It's called Swingers, And I was like, oh, God, no way in hell.
Well, what a nice neighborhood you have there. You got you probably ought to move on. We can talk about this after.
We can move on that one after the show. Thank God Jerry moved. And he got divorced for that matter. She was a school teacher. She left the engineer for the janitor, but that's okay.
Oh, her name was Jerry. Oh, okay.
No, his name was Jerry. I forget her name, but her name, I forget it. But she actually left a really smart engineer and was hooking up with a janitor from the school she was a teacher at. But
maybe his name was Tom. Somewhere there's got to be a Tom in it.
No Tom in there at all. All right. Now let's get back to talking about stuff on UFOX. We got a bunch of stuff in here to get into. Well, this came from Skywatch Signal. I saw you in the chat before the show. You never joined in the back, but I'm going to cover it anyway. Danny Sheehan, catastrophic disclosure, quote, people would be jumping out of their windows. What the fuck is Danny talking about? No. Hell no. But let's find out more. I was just watching Danny Sheehan on that UFO podcast, and he literally nailed it. We are taught what to think in school, fall in line, and end up as consumers and materialistic. Let's play this little clip here of Danny Sheehan on our dear friend out of Scotland, I believe, or United Kingdom, talking from that UFO podcast. Let's get to it. Here we go, folks.
For that to be there, that you almost, there's an element of society that
Scotland
wants to be controlled. And you want the hierarchy, you want the power systems in place, because there's a comfort within that. There's a safety blanket of, I know I go to my job, I get this much money, I work these many hours, here's my free time, I can pay for this, I can't pay for that. Now and again, you get to break into the next level of money, of wealth, of power, of status, and you work your way up. Sometimes you work your way back down.
That's their world. And that's their world. And it's the public education system that trains people into becoming a cog in the wheels, of that industrial state. And it's not necessary, that we can take power. We still have the ability in these democratic societies to take control if, in fact, we will do our job as citizens. And the education system doesn't train the people to do that. They tell them about the alternative
Daryl,
sources of energy.
I have to ask a question. Does the education system train people how to act and what they're to expect when they get pulled over by a cop?
I don't know if they...
No, they don't, because I've seen so many. You've watched all the videos. No one knows what the frickin' laws are, what people are capable of, and more importantly, how to act when you get pulled over. So if they aren't teaching them that basic thought pattern, how are we expecting to teach people about how to react when UFOs come true?
Yeah. Hopefully people aren't jumping out of windows.
All right, here we go.
There are alternative sources that we have access to, the wealth of the universe. There's all kinds of asteroids and asteroid belts that have resources and stuff that we can have. We don't have to authorize fighting over limited resources on our planet. We have access to resources in the entire galaxy. But they want to keep it secret.
Wait a minute. We have access to resources that are available in the galaxy? Did I miss something here?
No, they're there for the taking. I mean, I guess the first guy that gets there.
Okay. But we're not in right now, are we?
No, I don't know how it works.
Especially the Artemis mission can't even get off the ground. They fucking canceled the launches on that one because they have leaks of... They can't get the hatch to close right.
If they would have put somebody other than Fred G. Sanford in charge of that operation, you'd have a much better product.
Elon Musk could work. Have you heard Elon Musk has dropped his push for Mars? And said, "Fuck it, we're gonna focus on the moon for right now for the next 2 years."
Yeah, there was what was the deal about that? They wanted to accelerate all the contracts. It's not just him. It's who's another big space manufacturer.
Oh, you mean Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin?
Blue Origin, and then I think there might be a Lockheed Martin or somebody in there, but
Lockheed actually developed the capsule they sit in, which they can't properly close the door and get a seal on it. Oh my fucking God. They need to just scrub it all and just give the job to Elon Musk and he'll still launch on time.
Yeah, well, he's got his capsule that's going there too.
Well, apparently he said, fuck everything else, we're going to go ahead and rule the moon.
Yeah, well, they're pushing them on the contracts to get them done sooner.
No, but that's going to get done sooner, but he's taking all of his aspirations to go to Mars and saying, fuck it, I'm going to focus everything on the moon for right now.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of attention to do that, to speed that up. So he's taking his focus off of it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's play more of this.
One day we'll have to talk about, is it Helium-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that sometime on the moon.
Well, that's what they're going to use to go ahead and power the ships to get to Mars. And also power the energy systems and everything to start all the mining on the moon.
And that's why...
But isn't it the Psyche 3 or the Psyche asteroid that's out there that's made out of gold that they're going to try and bring in and put in the moon's orbit and mine everything off of it?
Really?
Yeah.
Is Trump going to try and do that?
We've already launched a ship on its way there to identify it. Rotary Matrix, I see you. Join the back. Yeah. All right, let's play. We still got a minute left of this. Let's play some more here. And I got a bunch of stuff, folks. Welcome to Disclosure tonight. We're having fun. There's actually UFO shit to talk about and not just kvetch about it's dead.
Because their entire economic system and their entire elite status.
Quick thing. Has anybody told Danny that you have the green screen behind you, not as a backdrop, but it's something you use for a green screen to replace it with something else? So, oh my God. I need to go to, hold on.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh God. Here we go. Look, I've got a green screen on me like Danny Sheehan. No, I've actually got something there. How about that? No, it's a green screen. No, I'm like Danny Sheehan. No, Danny, you're supposed to actually use that. You've got good lighting and everything else. My God, I feel sorry for the guy. Whoever he's paying for his media hookups and for his technology, he is getting robbed.
of
really.
superiority over everybody else is rooted in maintaining the idea that there are limited resources and they're scarce, and that we get more of them than you get. Okay. And so that they view that, the revelation of the fact that this just isn't true, that we have access to all these different resources in the galaxy. We have access to all of these different technologies that can help.
See, he's talking, we have access to that that stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he knows a lot more.
He is getting near 80, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's not already there.
No.
Solve a lot of our problems here.
We
Make
love
our
him, though.
planet a flourishing place for everybody. They don't want that. They don't
And he looks so serious, too. He gets it.
want that. And they view it as catastrophic. Quote, catastrophic disclosure. And they keep trying to pretend, like that we're going to go jumping out of a first-story window or something. If all of a sudden we discover that there's an extraterrestrial civilization, that we're not at the apex of all biological evolution in the entire universe, they keep on trying to tell people, the regular people are going to, jump out of windows in despair.
No, they're not.
And that's catastrophic.
No, we're going to go ahead. We're freak out on Friday when it comes out. By Monday, we're all going to have to go to work to make the money to pay our fucking mortgage or put food on the table or pay our rent, honestly.
And if there's a thinning of the herd, so be it. Let the stupid people jump out.
Yeah, but that means, that's what is actually what Bill Gates was trying to do. We'll cover that later.
They care about us at all.
So, yes, talking about changes on the street. Yes, there are changes on the street, folks. I've checked this with YouTube, and I can actually go ahead and play it because it's all AI. But you know what? It's sad to hear what's going on over on Sesame Street. No one thought it could really happen. Let's play this clip. It's a doozy.
No one really thought it could happen here.
Used to be laughter out here. Now it's just sirens and excuses.
911, what's your emergency? Something's going down, and it ain't cookies. Location?
You sure this is safe?
Perfectly safe, totally anonymous.
Will I still get cookies?
Think they can cage this bird? Think again, punk.
You're not flying on this one.
Trying to help Bird out. Even let him crash back at my pad. Now, I've got some questions.
I keep trying to stay one step ahead. Problem is, he's counting every move.
1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves. Checkmate!
It's just not safe on these streets anymore.
We won't back down! Move back!
Yeah, I know. And it's a damn shame what happened to Rosita.
Get off Super Grover!
This whole mess could have been avoided if you had just bought the damn tote bags.
So where
do
we go?
Here?
Daryl, this is where AI is taking us, and I love it.
About those cookies?
Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
Great thing about AI is it's not copyrightable. You can take it and play it and have fun with it.
I'm just glad that the count got a word in there edgewise.
Oh, yeah, he kept on counting. 1, 2, 3. But Bert was actually, the count is the bad guy because if you notice, even Bert was dealing with the count.
He should go in there and count kids at the Leering Centers. 0.
Where's your t-shirt? With the Leering Center, my friend. All right, coming from Red Paniquala, yes, he did pick something out on X. I have to bring it up. Remember the Soul Conference? The guy who actually interviewed Gary Nolan about UFOs. He also interviewed Carl Nell. His videos have been removed by Uploader on YouTube. This comes after Cloakus was found in multiple Jeffrey Epstein files. For the people who said that UFOs aren't going to affect the Twitter, no, not even that the Epstein files aren't going to affect ufology. Apparently, it is.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Epstein files are affecting ufology.
Yes. The guy. Oh, he's a funder, VC, who was funding stuff with Gary Nolan potentially, also with Carl Nell and other people. He was a funder that went on along with the Saul, also potentially along with Saul, but we also have what was the other thing he was funding? Oh yeah, Skywatcher. You know, Jake Barber. He was a big person behind that as well, an investor tied to the Epstein files.
Clockus?
Clockus.
How old does that guy look?
You
if I could jump in, he's pretty young. He's a billionaire, and he just always looks like he's.
So what? He was on Epstein Island then? He was one of the kids being abused on Epstein Island? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, his name appears all over the Epstein files.
But how old is he right now?
Let me see if I can get a picture here for you.
Well, late 30s, I think.
Here he is with Carl Nell in the SALT conference. And there he is right there. I would say late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, that puts him really young at Epstein Island. If that's what
maybe mid 40s. Either way, it was enough to take his videos down.
Really low.
Yeah. Someone's saying late 20s. No way in hell. That's a really old late 20s. That's like late 20s and no, not even close. Yeah. But either way. Let's get out of this one. Let's get to the next one. Yes, the next M5 Ultra chips have been leaked in the latest 26.3 operating system beta, and this chip is going to be a monster. So if you have an old Mac Studio Ultra like I do, have been waiting from M1, have been waiting for the next one, this is where it's going to be, my friends. Let's get into it. All right. All right. Here we go. Coming from France. We'll get past this one. I have it someplace else. All right. So, Artemis 2, the delays we've been talking about. Preliminary information points to a second wet dress rehearsal next Friday. Interesting, there is a lot of net launch dates of March 3rd, not previous to the windows. So, they have issues with, again, we talked about it earlier, with the capsule closing the door and also with hydrogen leaks filling up the main tower. Now, the main capsule itself was developed by Lockheed Martin, and this particular part of the overall rocket was developed by, I believe, someone who I know, Mike, loves them, United Launch Alliance, ULA. We'll see where it goes. Yes, there have been amazing Corona Borealis going on. The aurora has been popping up in the last day or so. It even just happened tonight earlier over in Sweden everywhere. Let me go ahead and just see if I can get to Solar Ham. Let's get to where we are currently in the United States. Let's go ahead and play it and see where we're at. And we've got a decent show going in the upper latitudes, kind of. We're looking at people up in, Canada, etc. You should be able to see something, at least up in Alaska, some things that are going on. It's called, what we've got going on up in the skies. Let me get out of this one, get back to X. Where are we at? Next one, yes, over on Reality Check. Ross Coulthard is talking about, is there a reason NASA isn't addressing the odd structures that are on the moon? Yes, there's a bunch of things that have been on the moon.
Other.
What?
As far as I know.
Well, that's actually the video clip. Let's play this little clip coming to us from News Nation talking about what's been seen on the moon. Here we go.
What does NASA say, if anything, about this object in the crater of Paracelsus C?
NASA has never commented on these structures in one way or the other. As far as I know, they're not even aware that these structures exist, or at least publicly they've never said anything. Though my colleagues at the SPSR published their analysis of these structures in 2015. So they've been in the literature for quite some time now. And one would think that, or 2016 rather, still one would think that they would eventually say something about them. But that has not been the case. And
so
I want
why?
Yes.
I mean, I would have thought if you were NASA and you've got obviously what look like rectilinear structures on the surface of the
rectal.
moon, I would have thought that if there is a prosaic explanation, you'd give it.
I would think so too. But that suggests to me that either they don't have one, but they don't want to come out and say that, and they're not sure how to explain them, or they strongly suspect that these are artificial structures, and because of the Space Act and its provisions, they're not allowed to say that to the public. They're just following a policy of don't ask, don't tell.
So, Ed, how far are we away from September 26th, is it?
No, this year is the projection this year is the 11th to the 13th. 12 is the big day, 12 September.
12th of September.
No, I don't know. My math's not that good late at night, but whatever it is between February, the 5th and 12th of September.
Yeah, my math isn't good late at night either. Why is that?
Sorry, I'm sorry, I missed your question.
I said my math isn't good late at night either. Why is that?
I think it's because we're getting old and those brain cells that work at night are used up already.
I don't suppose that's an excuse you could use as an A-10 pilot, just going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really miscalculated, destroyed that bus full of nuns." It's
that was about 30 years ago, Daryl. That made a little bit of difference.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Duty calls, and when it does, I've got old man bladder, so people can understand. So, yeah, we've got information about the moon, what's going up there. Are we going to get up there? We got to ask the question, Daryl. What do you think that we've shut down traveling to the moon for so long after we got there? Is it just because we thought we got there, we learned what we can learn, and we stopped going there? Or do you think there could be something more nefarious with regards to shutting down our traveling to the moon, maybe from a non-human intelligence?
Yeah, so having lived being born in 1966 and having been greatly inspired as a kid with all sorts of models of lunar landers and the rocket that exploded, you know, the top part of it explodes out and the capsule comes out, all that good stuff.
Space shuttle blowing up.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Yeah.
But no, all the toys we had as kids, you know, a lot of them were rockets. So anyway, I do remember being a kid and going, why aren't we still going to the moon? What's happening? And the only thing that I can remember back then was that it lost its vibrancy a little bit because we were doing it often, or more often than never ever before. And then there was a gas crisis in 1973, and the last rocket launch was in 73, and it literally cost today, it would cost 6 times the current budget of NASA to do what they did back then. So it was really, really expensive. There was a gas crisis, and people were like, I need my gas too damn high. Why are we going to the moon? Kind of thing going on.
Yeah. I hear you. That's a sad point, but it's probably reality of where we're at. Ed, go ahead. Ed?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't push my button. I said there's two sides.
You pushed my button.
And you ring my bell.
Oh, there you go. The government side of the story was we discovered enough. We didn't need to go back. You know, we got all we were trying to get out of it. I think back then there was some concern possibly of our adversaries beating us to some of those resources, possibly like the helium-3, but there wasn't seen as a serious threat during that time period. Now, the opposite side of that story, which is the side I like, is because the people that were currently on the moon told us not to come back.
Mm-hmm. That seems more likely.
But now we need your helium-3, moon people. Get out of the way.
Well, according to Danny, we shouldn't have any problem because we got the whole universe we can collect helium-3 from.
Yeah, and we'll have all the gold in the world to.
And apparently, according to Dana Sheehan, we already have access to all those minerals right now. How?
Yeah, I think if you watch the body of his work throughout the years, he kind of talks about how he knows of a lot of other things.
Well, right now he's got the New Paradigm Institute. He's set it up, and he's trying to go ahead and build an endowment for his grandchildren. That's why he's doing it. At least that's what I've heard, Mike? Oh, he'd love to answer, but he can't. All right, here we go. Here's an interesting clip. Massimo Atlas from Boston Dynamics showing advanced agility with a cartwheel followed by a backflip. Yes, this is a robot. Remember, Boston Dynamics used to be from Boston. They used to be an American company, but who were they bought out by, Daryl? Do you know?
No clue.
Hyundai.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they did.
A South Korean company.
South Korean company, yeah. So we just went and increased all the different tariffs because, he'll be back. Don't worry, friends. Just give it time. All right, we already saw the Ernie and Bert episode. All right, this was something not quite Ernie and Bert, but NASA's concealing unexplained phenomena from Congress and the American public. Before we get into this one, I do want to go ahead and have a survey on this one. If I can find where the fuck I put the survey window at. Here we go. Let's bring it back. Let's go to here, and I am going to create a poll and say NASA
So Hyundai's plan is to use those robots for manufacturing purposes.
Oh, fuck no. All the robots we're seeing, Daryl, you know why they're creating them? They're creating them as soldiers for war, let's be honest.
I thought of sex toys, but okay. Anyway,
no. Well, that's why we got what do you think CD-ROM took off?
Oh, I don't know if we want to talk about that right now, but I'm very familiar with that business back in the days.
Yeah, it was called CD-ROM, the New Papyrus. It was a great book that was out there that talked about CD-ROM, but the reason for the New Papyrus, yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. NASA cover-up for UFOs. 32-3 votes in. Yes, absolutely, Daryl. 100%. No fucking way. 0%. I think this is the only poll we've ever had that's gone to 100%. Honestly, in all the years we've been doing polls.
That's true.
Bring out the strippers. My God.
This definitely goes into the Hall of Fame. Now watch, before you capture that, I don't even want to say it. Somebody's going to vote.
All right, we're 1 minute in. Okay, pause your Google. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting now.
No. There we go. So we got minute 25 left. Come on, audience. This is your chance to vote. My God, Daryl, I have never, ever seen results like this. Oh, fuck. 4%. Oh, you son of a bitch. Who were you?
Okay, it was me. No,
either way. Come on, people. Vote yes, absolutely. Let's find out who that 4% is and freaking throw them out of the show. I'll block them, honestly. Tell me who you are. Oh, with 56 seconds left to go. We're still at 96%, 4% out of 58 votes.
Whoever voted the other way, you can change your vote, by the way.
Yeah. Try.
Anyway, I think the community of people interested in this stuff has seen over the years at least a dozen times these photos that NASA is literally covering up, blocking out.
You see something coming into the screen and it immediately goes black and says feed unavailable, right? That's what I'm talking about. From the space station or space shuttle.
Plenty of astronauts that have said that there's things out there.
Laura's here. Brian, go ahead. Your hand is up. Just cut in your family.
Yeah, I respect NASA and I respect a lot of people there, but at the same time, can they take themselves seriously anymore? The amount of lies and BS that they
yes.
peddle. I mean, how can you even want to be part of that organization anymore? And This used to be the gold standard.
Yeah.
We went to the moon, supposedly. They did all this stuff.
Wait, hold on a second. Daryl. No, Daryl, we're there, but Brian.
No, I mean, I think we did. But what I'm saying,
But you said supposedly, so why did you say supposedly?
Because a lot of people are going to argue with me on that.
The Earth is round, supposedly.
That's right. Supposedly. But NASA should be the damn gold standard, and it's an absolute shame that we call it into question now, and we almost laugh about it as a joke. And that should not be the case. And I hope that gets brought back one day. But yes, they are absolutely hiding secrets.
Well, Elon got his guy in there.
Really quick.
As the director of NASA.
If you guys are having a fun time, enjoying Disclosure tonight. We're here for your pleasure and having a fun time, being serious about not being serious. But truthfully, friends, if you haven't given us a subscribe yet, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you as regulars. Don't ask that a lot, but you know what? We need to go ahead and go against the trolls who have been leading us. But you know what? We love what we're doing here, and we'd love to hear from you. More importantly, if you're having a good time, you're a subscriber to the show, do us a favor, hit that a thumbs up button. We'd love to hear from you, my friends, and drop something in the chat. But supposedly.
The clock will strike midnight. Supposedly.
Yeah, I know. Oh, where's the one at? Not that one.
I'm just curious, Brian. I'm still kind of stuck in your comment, or your way you frame that. Is there anybody that's close to you that is a moon landing denier?
No, I mean, I'm not. And as far as I know, none of my contacts are either.
Okay, that's right.
So I don't, aside from fringe podcasts and stuff like that, I don't hear along those lines.
Yeah.
3 times.
Now, I will say to Daryl, and I don't mean to interrupt the show, Thomas, but I do believe that a lot of the astronauts and some of my contacts have talked to them, that they have had contacts or weird sightings, flybys, stuff like that. So I do believe that that's legit.
Yeah. Absolutely, my friend.
The one oddity in the entire space program of stuff in the United States that blows my mind is Elon Musk not believing there's aliens flying around.
Yeah, but it almost sounds like the IC talking, doesn't it?
Dude, his reasoning, he uses the same...
But Lucky Palmer, who's an equally smart guy, has been talking about this like it's real. So what does Lucky know that Elon doesn't? Do you think...
All I know is that Elon uses the exact same reasoning
as the DOD
about this. He uses the same reasoning every single time he says,
oh my God, she's back and she's looking at us. Is Susan Goff controlling Elon Musk? Is that what you're saying? Erection killer alert, my friends. Yes. There she is, and she's back and she's watching all of us. She's always watching us. We've even heard that from Lou in the past.
What was my point I was trying to make here about Elon? That he uses the same excuse every single time. And I know Elon's on the spectrum and everything, and maybe I just don't, there's something about him using the same line because it doesn't make any sense. He always says, I would know because there has not been one time any of our Starlink satellites, which there are thousands of up there, have ever had to get out of the way for a UFO. Okay, first of all, your supposition of you'd have to get out of the way for the UFO because the UFO can't get out of your way is stupid. The whole premise of his argument is ignorant. And so it makes me, and for that reason alone, it makes me question whether he is telling the truth.
I think it's just NDAs. Or NDAs.
But he defies it so vehemently, as opposed to saying, well,
but when he was talking about an alien, he said, yes, I'm an alien and I'm from the future and I'm here to go ahead and do all these different things.
Yeah,
right?
He said that tongue in cheek when he was asked about aliens. He said, "I can comment it because I am one." I mean, he's just.
Well, oh God, I have a video clip I put together a while ago, and there was a speech of U.S. President 45 Trump when he was down on the border, talking about he was going ahead and trying to keep all the aliens out, and I had edited it down to make it sound like he was talking about UFO aliens.
I thought you were talking about Taco Bell down at the border, trying to keep all the illegal aliens out of Taco Bell.
No, not at all. All right. Moving on from that subject, let's get into it. Disclosure Party over on X has a clip of our dear friend Kevin Knuth. My problem with Kevin. You have all that information you found and that came as part of the movie A Terror in the Sky that was produced by Carolyn Corey. She literally owns the data you put together. All of that data, Daryl, was supposed to be released years ago. You know what? As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. The data has still not been released. So you got to ask the question, who are they covering this up for? Really?
Yeah.
Scientists say, we can't bring it out because people aren't ready for it. Wait a minute. That's what the government gives us the excuse from. Why, if they have information about non-human intelligence and different things they observed, would they not want to bring that out to the public? It's another layer of censorship that goes between us and the truth.
Well, like Trump almost said that one time, it's not up to him. And it's not up to the NASA director. It's not up to any of those NASA people. It's up to somebody else above them, right? I mean,
yeah.
You can't come out and say, hey, I'm Joe Smo, director of the East Los Angeles radar spectrum, and
right.
I'm telling you right now, as a part of the government, that there are UFOs. And you can't do that. I mean, you'd be fired, and, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. But that's really we live in. So let's listen to physicist and former NASA scientist Kevin Knuth say that, quote, shuttle pilots saw snake-like things in space. He must have talked to him. Let's see what he has to say.
From the transcripts, the astronauts are working on were working, and something flew over their Houston NASA. That something just fly over you, and they say affirmative. Weird, and then there's something like 6 minutes of no transcript, right? And but when the thing flew over, the object flew over them, it drained It drained one of their batteries. Stack Charlie stack got drained. So stack C got drained. So it's almost a classic UFO sighting. They see an object in space, it flies over their ship, and then drains their batteries, right? And so that's in the transcripts of Gemini 11.
Wow. And that's public. That audio is public
as well, yeah. And now it's so the question I've had is why, when we had the NASA commission, why was...
Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, saying about snake creatures or snake whatever.
You're right.
Isn't that basically what the Tether incident?
No, it's a different one. That was a whole bunch of different spherical shape objects that were coming around. They're talking about something as a solo object that came along, and as it was coming along, the body was undulating from the headward, staying consistent, but the body is undulating up and down as it's moving across their field of view.
Yeah, it just struck me that what they said was the Tether incident you could consider that as a snake
object moving along its head, but behind it you've got the up and down motion going of the body that's extending, moving in a snake-like fashion to propel it.
Yeah.
Which is not something you would normally see in orbit, as far as we're aware, right?
There's no life other than tardigrades up in space, and they say these things can exist up there, but so they're saying there's nothing else up there. Yeah.
That is just so human, isn't it? we're going to say, based on our observations, there is nothing else that could possibly be there, other than saying, well, we think nothing else should be there, but that doesn't close down the possibility there could be other life forms, plasma or otherwise, that we're not aware of dealing. And that's the problem with science, Andy, where science wants to come across is more of a scientist or scientism, where it's more of a religion, meaning we have all the different things that we say, and if you go against any of our predetermined things that we accept, it's heresy, and we're going to fight you tooth and nail to bring out the truth on that, versus saying, even look like the, what do you call it, the sprites. I should be able to find this on X really quick. Come on.
Sprites like computer sprites?
No. Sprites in the atmosphere. Hold on.
Yeah, isn't it the lights they see lightning strikes up above? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Latest.
Or not?
Media. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. So you have these things, right, that were visible in the sky, and pilots went and basically did not reported these things as they're flying across the world all the time, and the science community came back and told them that they were imagining things. We have proof of this coming from people on the ground. Now we have it from planes because their cameras are good enough, and even coming from the space station where this stuff has been imaged, basically proving science wrong. These type of objects appear in our atmosphere, and it's like a transfer of energy between our magnetic field and the planet and the actual surface. And they appear momentarily and they're gone. But they do happen. And that's the whole point, is you have to look at science and know, we think we know something. But in reality, if this is a book, we know less than a speck of a speck of a speck of a dust of an atom size in this overall book. That's actually how much we really know the truth is of what's out there. Everything else is just supposition and us trying to sound more important than we really know. You have to be humble in this stuff, at least what I've found. There's a part to it that goes beyond our abilities, beyond physics, that goes into consciousness. And I know that's something that Laura Campbell has been involved in for a while. I have, and a lot of people have. There's just stuff that's out there. We can't quantify it, but like the sprites, it's real. Yeah. I went down a rabbit hole on that one, Andy? You're on mute.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I think I'm in the right browser still. Yeah. All right. Go back to X. What else we have dealing with? We talked about Artemis, the launch issues going on with it. All right. We got a clip here coming from about George Knapp. He's been doing this for 30 years, Andy. So let's listen to this clip from News Now, and some people will probably watch again tomorrow, but here we go.
30 years ago this week, a very quiet meeting was held in Las Vegas. It had a profound impact on the future of UFO research.
In fact, it was the first formal meeting of the group intended to answer two of the biggest and really the most perplexing questions of human existence. 8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp was invited to participate.
Yeah, 30 years ago, an extraordinary group of scientists, academics, ex-astronauts, and former CIA contractors gathered in Las Vegas for the very first meeting of the NIDS Science Advisory Board. NIDS was an organization that essentially set the bar for all future investigations of UFOs and other unusual phenomena. Their work is still being felt 3 decades later.
I sought out the best of the best
Las Vegas aerospace and real estate tycoon Robert Bigelow has likely spent more money on UFO research than any person in history, tens of millions of his own dollars. In the late 80s and early 90s, Bigelow funded work by individual researchers and UFO organizations, but grew impatient. In 1995, he created his own group, NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science. He recruited Dr. John Alexander from Los Alamos Lab to help put together prominent names who might serve on a science advisory board to oversee NIDS research and to answer two big questions. Are we alone in the universe, and is there life after physical death? Some invitees said no thanks. Others requested anonymity.
The stigma was certainly still attached.
I'll do it, but don't tell anybody about it. On February 2nd and 3rd, 1996, the NIDS Science Advisory Board convened at Bigelow's building on Eastern Avenue. Among those around the table, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, along with former U.S. Senator and Apollo 17 astronaut Jack Schmitt, who also had walked on the moon. The first chairman was Dr. Kit Green, a brilliant neuroscientist and longtime CIA intelligence officer. Other notables included physicist Dr. Hal Puthoff, who'd helped develop the science behind remote viewing, and astronomer, computer scientist, and UFO author Dr. Jacques Vallée, who inspired the French scientist character in Spielberg's film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, along with several other academic heavyweights and a few who were still active in top-secret defense projects. A journalist was also present for much of the weekend session. His scrawled notes indicate the first meeting was so contentious the board couldn't agree on its own mission statement. One unstated aim of NIDS was to set an example.
Is to make it, or assist in making it viable for serious scientists to research these things without risking their reputation, livelihood, or career.
Among the earliest projects undertaken by NIDS was the study of alleged alien implants, objects found in the bodies of people who claimed they'd been abducted by presumed ETs. Bigelow funded nationwide surveys to determine how widespread alleged abductions might be.
There's 4 of them. Look at the 3 of them all together.
NIDS also had an early interest in so-called mystery triangles, huge, silent black triangles that were widely reported from the late 80s until the present.
They launched the top-of-the-line military aircraft against these things, and they were left standing. They were left in the dust. One minute these things are overhead, and the next minute they're on the horizon.
Biochemist Dr. Colm Kelleher was one of 3 full-time hires made by NIDS in the summer of 1996, along with physicist Dr. Eric Davis, who'd worked on multiple classified projects, and veterinarian Dr. George Onett. The main reason NIDS hired a veterinarian was because of an ongoing oddity, animal mutilations. There'd been more than 10,000 incidents across the U.S. where animals, mostly cattle, had been carved up with surgical precision. Not a single perpetrator had ever been caught. NIDS teams would fly to the scene of mutilations to search for physical evidence. Robert Bigelow's personal interest in UFOs and mutilations led to a fortuitous purchase, a scenic 480-acre ranch in northeastern Utah, which reportedly was a hotbed of unknown craft, animal mutilations, and other weirdness. John Alexander accompanied Bigelow to meet the rancher. Bigelow bought the property, and NIDS began an intense multi-year investigation.
It was interesting because you had a living laboratory, because incidents were ongoing at the time. And of course, over time, we learned more and more about the history, because this goes back decades to centuries.
The NIDS board was divided how to investigate what is now known as Skinwalker Ranch. Some favored a non-intrusive, low-tech approach. Bigelow installed cameras and other gear, but whatever was behind the weird events at the ranch largely avoided detection. Alexander dubbed it a precognitive sentient intelligence. The disturbing phenomena witnessed by NIDS personnel were kept largely secret until after NIDS itself dissolved in 2004. If NIDS has a legacy, it's the scientific but open-minded approach to the unknown.
Well, I think what we did is probably set up a prototype for how to approach these things. Again, on a purely scientific basis. We had instrumentation, highly qualified individuals.
That ear's totally gone.
The only person I told about that meeting was Senator Harry Reid. I hoped that Reid would ask if he could sit in on a future meeting. He did, and was hooked on the topic for the rest of his life. 11 years later, he put together $22 million black budget dollars to fund what became the largest UFO investigation in U.S. history, modeled after NIDS. We received a comment from physicist Dr. Eric Davis about the impact of NIDS. We've posted that on our website, along with news reports about what NIDS work was.
Interesting times. It's great to see that George Knapp remains a pillar of our community. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, I was always
Don't worry about it, my friend. Yeah, let's go ahead and we've got one more piece here coming from Anaplina Luna, who just dropped a bombshell that changes everything. Maybe that's how it's being put on Twitter. Let's go ahead and listen to this clip of her recent appearance over on Newsmax. It's only like 40 seconds or so. Let's go ahead and bring this up and have fun with it, folks. Hold on. Here we go. Let's play it.
You're on the record talking about, quote, non-human life forms that could be interdimensional beings who are visiting us. Can you just explain more to people at home what that might mean?
Yeah, so that's definitely a mouthful, but that is directly based on information that we've received from witnesses, also information that we have obtained and witnessed via our investigations. There's some stuff that I can't disclose of what I have immediately seen in some of these skiffs, but what I will tell you is this is not just some crazy conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's been massive reporting, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is something that I think everyone kind of, has always had some curiosity about. We're just simply asking the questions.
You're on the record talking.
So there we go. Anaplina Luna is still bringing it out, still talking about this like it's the truth that's out there. Just can't wait to see where this is all going to go. Andy, it's been a great opportunity to have you here and everybody else this evening. Daryl, thank you very much for everything you brought forward.
Thanks, Tom. It's always a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Also want to go ahead and thank, we got a super chat in tonight. Yes, one during the show came in, and it's from Daryl is here. I bet $10 that the Seahawks will win. Thank you very much, Daryl. Appreciate that super chat, my friend. We're a fan-funded program. Appreciate someone in the back bringing it forward. So you bet for the Seahawks, huh?
Yes, and I will be watching Kid Rock during the halftime.
There we go. And I am from Seattle. Hopefully they're going to win. I didn't realize they're doing so well. Except thanks to my brother-in-law for watching this. And interesting, I'll be watching it on my own big screen, a 10-foot screen, as we've got. Yes, there is a UFO conference that's going on this weekend. My God. Daryl, why in the hell would you? I guess they're thinking their target audience for UFO conference is not going to go ahead and worry about the Super Bowl. But why would you have a UFO conference the same weekend as the Super Bowl?
It doesn't seem very well thought out. Generally,
Reed Summers, I think, has set this up.
Who?
Reed Summers? He'll be there tomorrow. I guess I'll talk with him.
Probably needs a new marketing person. It seems kind of ridiculous.
Maybe it was a cheap weekend to get the resort, but you never know. Well, it's a platform.
There are reasons why there are Super Bowl specials for TV. Because it's a big deal.
Yeah. So tomorrow, when the conference is going on tomorrow, I've got to figure out. I have to be able to record the conference of what's going on live to the machine as I'm actually going to do the show. So we're going to see if I can handle that tomorrow, Daryl. It's either going to be a horrible mess, or I'm going to have to drop down the quality I'm kicking out, or it's all going to work. What do you think?
I think it's all going to work perfectly, and if it doesn't, it'll be like the days of old.
You mean like today when we actually crashed midstream? God, I haven't done that in a while.
Those are always fun days. It's like Howard Stern. Why was Howard Stern so popular in the beginning? Because nobody knew what to expect next.
There you go.
And you kind of have that same kind of a feeling, let's get more people in here, man. Let's get more people that are in the 80-20.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to. Is it here anywhere? Oh, I'm trying to think. No. I'm trying to find. I've got too many sound effects lined up here. There's one I was trying to find, but either way. Yeah. It's kind of like one of the times you just open your mouth and you close your eyes and you just let the dentist go ahead and drill out that tooth. Oh, I know. Anyway, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. And as we usually say at every episode, at the end of every episode, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
Go back to Party City where you belong.
absolutely, we'll catch you in the flip side. And everybody, we'll see you soon. You all come back now. Here.